Hi everyone, my name is Aparna Bhatia, and like Rishabh mentioned, basically I'm going to go through whatever we have created for the new build 8675. So in order for you to, we're going to cover mostly walls today, but if you want to know everything that has changed between the previous build and 8675, you can click on the G icon here and then click on changelog, and it will open up the changelog on a browser, and you can take a look at all the elements that have changed in here. One big thing to note about this build is that it is not backwards compatible. All right, so what that means is if you were using the previous version, which is 8560, or yeah, 8560, you will basically need to make sure that you want to upgrade to this latest build because it is not backwards compatible. So if you run a project with this build and maybe one tool is not working or you notice something is not working, you cannot go back to the previous build because it is not backwards compatible. Okay, so you cannot roll back to the previous version. So feel free to have a test project and test out all the features of this build and make sure all the tools you typically use are working perfectly, and then upgrade your ongoing projects to the latest build. Okay, so we're going to go through a few of these items here, and there are still a lot of things changed in floors, trusses, and you can also take a look at all the bug fixes that we've done for this build. So I'm just going to go ahead and close out of here, and that's basically where you can see your change log. So let's go through some of these items. So I'm going to go to level 1 here. I have a few walls drawn in just so that it's easier when I run positioning and show you those tools. It's not too many walls in here, so it doesn't take too long for me to run positioning for the entire panel. Okay, so let's start with our first item on the list, which is being able to rename join markers in Marker Manager. So over here, if I go to Marker Manager, you'll notice that we have a lot of openings, we have joins and all that fun stuff. So here, let's go to simple A, and I'm just going to duplicate it because, like always, never modify what we give you, always duplicate so that you have a backup in case something goes wrong. Maybe your marker doesn't work the way you want it to and you want to start fresh again from using one of our existing markers as a base. You always have that available. Okay, so this is a new marker that I created. I'm going to go ahead and rename it, and I'm just going to call it custom here, and you can see that it's LGS simple A custom, and I'll hit OK, and now it's allowed to be renamed, and hit OK. Earlier we would get a error message with that, so that has been modified. We added that ability to rename them. The next really cool thing we've done is for material thickness. Let me just enable my material scheme here for a second. Sorry, there you go. So what I have here is a typical wall panel. I'm just going to go to 3D view here to take a look at it, and I'm just going to regenerate this panel here. Okay, just so that I get all the colors based on the gauge thickness for this project, or sorry, for this panel. Okay, I'm just going to double check one more thing. Yep, that's perfect. So here we have our panel materials or project material scheme applied. And what we've done is we've gotten rid of our material thickness parameter from here, from our general info inside the properties, because instead of you specifying what the material thickness needs to be based on like the gauge or the mill thickness you've applied for this panel, what we've done is it is going to now automatically read the data from the parameter inside the panel or inside the family. So if I click on this track family here, if I go edit type, here you'll see that there's the TF parameter. So right now it's reading the data from the TF parameter. What this allows you to do is, let's say inside this panel, I want to go to properties, go to miscellaneous, and I want to modify my opening framing data, and I want to have different sizes for my header or different gauges for my header. So Let's say it's a 600T 125-54 for the header, and for the sill, I want it to be 68, for example. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that for all and hit close. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my top track to be 137-43, and my, oops, sorry, that's my typical stats. Those I'll just leave it as is. My top track, my bottom track, I'll make it 68, and my top track, I'll make it 43, for example. And just to show you what this means. So since it's grabbing the data from the TF parameter, if you are using custom families in your projects that you've built from scratch by yourself, as long as it has a TF parameter added to them, you should be okay. Oops, I used the S member instead of the T member for the bottom and top tracks. That was my mistake. Let me just switch that quickly to oh, this is 43, this is 43, and that is 68. And there you go. Okay, so now you'll see it better. So basically what this means now, or what this allows us to do, is to have the members actually cut back to the correct thickness instead of just using the default material thickness that we had originally provided. So over here, if I cut a quick section, just to take some dimensions here. Oops, go to view. We can set this up really quick, set this to fine, and I'm just going to make my walls transparent so we can see through. And along with my walls, I'm also going to make my framing 40% transparent so I can see the little gauge thickness for each of the members. All right, so now what this allows us to do is you can see clearly that that is actually ending at that point there. So this is 3/64. If I come here, that's 128, 9/128. And then over here, the cripples also are following this rule. So that's 15/256. And since the sill is a different size here, you can clearly see that the cripples are ending at that point. So that's 9/128. Okay, so that's basically how this tool works. So we don't have that material thickness parameter anymore. Earlier, it would only follow whatever that data was. So now it actually follows the TF parameter inside the families. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the questions box on GoToMeeting. All right, next we have something called Change Panel Workset. So earlier, the Change Panel Workset tool would only work for the structural framing members. So I have that open over here right now. Okay, so if I was to just regenerate this panel really quickly. Okay, oh, there we go. Okay, give it a second. There you go, and there. So if I regenerated it, now you can see that the wall is on the walls work set and the framing is on the framing work set, and same thing with the gypsum, with the sheathing, it is on the framing work set because we made that our work set when we used it, when we framed the wall or created the wall. So now what happens is, now if I use the edits change panel work set tool in the older build, you'll notice that it changed the panel work set for the members to match the host, which is your wall. So it matched the work set for the structural steel. But when I click on the sheathing, it didn't match the framing or it didn't change the work set from framing to walls. So instead, now what we've done is we've actually made that change. So if I come here, you can see this is walls. You can see that this is set to framing, and same thing with the, oops, I forgot to make this a multi-layer wall. Let me just quickly do that really nicely here. Let me just quick create it. I have that already set up. So since I'm on the framing work set right now, it's all going to create on framing. but what we want to do is match it to walls. So we are going to select the panel or the wall, and then go to Edits, Change Panel Workset. And when we do this, it automatically moves the sheathing to walls and the framing to walls. Okay, so earlier it was only doing structural layer, now it's doing the sheathing and multi-layer elements as well. All right, the next thing we've added is something for cross bracing. We've added a few new options. So I'm going to go to 3D view for this, and we're going to go ahead and add in cross bracing. So we'll go to properties for that wall panel, miscellaneous, and we will go to bracing and hit edit. And over here, when we hit X braces over here, so we've added a few new options here. So earlier we only had interior, and now we've added exterior, interior, and both. So we have more options available here for you. Along with that, I'm just going to say E2 here. We've changed the BIMSF description and BIMSF label for the cross brace. Instead of it being BR now, it is going to be, sorry, I'll put it on the interior side just so that we can see it where we are here now. So update, hit OK. So instead of it being BR, we've changed it to CB, so it's cross bracing instead of it being BR. Okay, so you can come here and see CB. Okay, that's cross bracing right there. Earlier it was called BR. And you can see that that description changes for the BIMSF description, and our label also reads it that way. All right. So that's another change that happened for cross bracing. The next thing is we've added a sub-assembly option for extra studs. So whether you do it through modify generated or you do it through extra studs, we'll go to properties here for a second. We'll go to miscellaneous. We'll go to extra studs, hit edit, repeat modify. So let's say S5. I'm going to add another stud on the side here. I'm going to invert it. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to also make this a sub-assembly element, and then I'll add this change to here. So whenever I click on this, it should show me all of these elements that I've done, or all the changes that I've done. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close and hit OK. So when I zoom in here, you'll see that it's doubled up the studs. And if I take a look at both of these, or a control click and select both of these, you'll see that they have a sub-assembly, BIMSF sub-assembly has been populated to panel 4-1. Okay, so that means it's being considered a sub-assembly. Next option we have is for hold downs. We've added some really cool options, which I think a lot of our clients have been waiting for a bit. So let's go ahead and show those cool options to you. So let's come here. And we'll go ahead into extra studs again. Actually, let's do this. No. Okay, I'm going to match the properties for both of these. So I'm going to go to match properties. Oops. So I'm going to say here, match properties to this panel and hit escape. It's going to just match the back-to-back studs that we have there. Okay, so for hold downs, what we've added now, since those extra studs are added and doing what I needed to, we'll go to properties and go to miscellaneous. We can go to hold downs and hit edit. Sorry, give it a little second. It's just loading in everything for the families for hold downs. It does take a minute to do that. But basically, we've given you a really cool option to add it to the hard side / open side of the member, instead of just giving you the option to place it on the start side or the end side. This way, what ends up happening is if you have rotated studs, you can still have a hold down placed inside them. And also if you have any flip studs like I do here, and you might have a hold down placed on both sides, you can use this option for that as well. So just give it a quick minute to continue doing that. There you go. So we're going to enable hold downs, and I'm going to place it here. We've given you the option for hard side or open side. I'm going to place it on the open side, and I'm going to choose my hold series, choose my hold down that I like. Insert bottom anchors. If you want, you can do it at the top as well. Same options have been provided. Okay, so I can do that, and then hold series, and I can choose that one. Let's say that one. Let's make it a smaller one. Insert top anchors, and basically place it for all of them. So it's going to go ahead and do that in a second. Come on. All right. So that's definitely overkill with the amount of hold downs, but let me just make the walls transparent here so you can see right through them, and you can see that the hold downs are being placed. And since this stud is flipped and we said it's on the open side, it placed it on the open side. I can show this to you in 3D so you can see that it did the same thing for the top as well. Okay. So it'll only find the open side of the stud and place it only on the open side. Okay. Over here, there's not enough clearance, so that's why it didn't place it. But that's basically how that tool works. Okay, next option is member positioning. And this is basically for multi-layer as well. So what we're gonna do now is basically, let's go to, did I not make this panel multi-layer? Give me 1 second. Let me just delete this. There. Let's delete this panel, and we're gonna make it a multi-layer panel. Oh, sorry, actually undo that. Here, I got confused for a second. But basically, we've given you an option to position your run member positioning when you have a locked panel. So if you upload your panel to Onyx, you can, it basically makes it a locked panel. Maybe it's issued for construction, and you have a locked panel like so. So now what we're going to do is we're basically going to run positioning on a locked panel. So we can select all panel members, outputs, member positioning, and let me just bring it from the other screen. And I have all of these options. So I'm going to rerun for the first time. And I'll just show tables so you can see this is how it's labeled it, and save it. And now you can take a look and see that your members have been positioned over here. Okay. And that's basically what it is. So we can run positioning on locked panels now. The other really cool option we've added is blocking will be split at a join member. So here I'm just going to place a join. Okay. Let's add a join where the members are a little, yeah, there, let's try that. Oh, let's try that. Yeah, let's try that one. Hit OK. All right, so I'm just going to have the main wall set to the other side. Set main wall, this one, just so we can see it in the longer direction. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is go ahead and create marker lines. and place blocking for this. So I'll go ahead and create a horizontal marker line, and I'll set it to 2, and I'll create a blocking configuration for this. So I'll hit the manage button. So since we are already in blocking, I'm going to just create a new one, and we're going to use, let's just say that size. So 600 S 137-33. And I'm just basically going to have it be a horizontal stud. And then over here, we can choose which line style we want. I'll leave it at wide lines. I'll set it to top, force end of line, and I want to split at members. So basically, we've added the S-join option over here. We did not have that earlier. So you can choose whatever you want to split it on, and then go ahead and hit the add button, and it adds that type there. Since we're already in the configurations here, we can choose to punch holes, and when you choose to punch holes, you'll notice that right now we only have one type. So maybe I want to place a slot hole or something like that. I mean, the member size is a little large, but it's okay. So we've added this manage button now that you can go and add in a hole style if you don't have the one that you're looking for in here. You can go ahead and modify that by adding this in. So let's say 2-inch slot hole, add, select this, edit shape, make it 2 inches and 2 inches, save and save. And now you have that ready to go. And then we can go ahead and select the slot hole here and update this option and hit OK. And we can choose that blocking configuration. Okay, so when I regenerate the wall, you'll see that it actually breaks that member at the S-join member here. So you can see that's S-join. So earlier it wouldn't break it here, it would just continue through, but now it actually breaks it there. Okay, so that's basically for both of these. This was the manage button, and that was the split at join, S-join member. Okay, so you know how we have those vertical split markers to break up our panels? So earlier it would only work with single layer, but now it actually works with multi-layer as well. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this panel that we have created, because you have to have no panels there in order for it to work. I'm going to make this panel 30 feet in length, and now I'm going to go ahead and markers, vertical split by rule, and I'm just going to have it be 10 feet all the way, hit confirm. So now we have those vertical split markers placed, and when I go ahead and quick create here, it will actually quick create multi-layer panels that are split up inside one wall. And it splits your sheathing layer and your secondary layer. If you have any secondary layers, it splits them up as well. So you'll notice that your sheathing actually breaks at that connection there. Okay. All right, that's basically how that works. All right, next we have panel names with multi-layer. Sorry, so basically what we've changed is inside the project panel names, you might have noticed we have an option called normal with positioning and positioning only. So earlier positioning only worked only with the structural layer, but now it works with multi-layer panels as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a 3D view, and we're going to cancel. We're going to remove the section box. I'll do it for all of them because it's going to be easier this way. So I'll select all the panels, and we'll go ahead and first run member positioning. In order for us to run panel positioning, we have to run member positioning first. So let's go ahead and rerun for the first time for all of these members. Okay, And I'll show table, and you can kind of see how many. We have 23 different types of members. There's 24 of number 21, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we'll save that. And now what we can go ahead and do is we can go to outputs and do panel positioning on the other screen again. So we're going to again run/rerun for the first time, and it will erase the positioning. That's totally fine. So we have lesser walls in this project just so that it runs faster because it goes through every single panel. This process does take a little bit. All right, and then once you do that, sorry, it's on the other screen again. And there you go. So once you do that, you can go ahead and hit save. And when I go to level 1, you'll notice that it changes. Interesting. I know there's a little issue with the label, but don't think it's supposed to do that here. So just try that if it works. No? Okay, that's surprising. But it should position this panel correctly, which I don't think it positioned the panel at all. Yeah, it didn't run positioning for this panel at all. So let me just rerun that really quickly. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. It's just something here. Just gonna do that way again and just rerun both the options. So member positioning. Okay. Run, save. And panel positioning. Again, run, show table, done. Okay, rerun for the first time. Show table, okay, and save. Interesting, okay. I have to take a look at that one. I got it to work for most of them, but yeah, and that's really interesting that it only did a few. Positioning ran only for a few, but I mean panel positioning ran only for a few. But that's basically it for the positioning. Just trying one more item. Just running it without selecting anything. Let's see. That was what was causing the problem. No, okay, great. I have to review that. But basically, that's one other tool that we've added. Another thing we've done actually is over here is basically moved our shop drawing engine. So if you take a look at 8650 or 8560, you'll notice that here we only have outputs and our shop drawing engine was with the multi-layer guys. But since our shop drawings work with single layer and multi-layer, it made more sense to move it to wall manufacturer. So we've moved those two tools in here now. Another really cool thing we've done is earlier we used to have under outputs, we had add member distribution, and this was basically used to add a schedule label. So what we've done now is we've removed it from our outputs and we've moved it under drawing operations because typically that gets used when you are running shop drawings right? So we've changed the name to be add schedule label instead of add member distribution. That way it actually makes sense because it is actually populating the data for, it's actually populating the data. Let me just choose a random panel. If I come here, add schedule label, okay, all right. And if I select this, you'll see that it actually populated the data for schedule label here. So it makes more sense to have it be called add schedule label instead of it just being add member distribution. Okay. Another thing we've also done is we've modified the naming convention for, if I go to properties here, go to miscellaneous, went to structural members over here. We used to have it be called max peak, P-E-E-K. We changed it to max peak, P-E-A-K, just because it is technically the peak of a mountain style peak. So we made sure it was not peekaboo and it was peak as a mountain peak. So that was a really quick change we made. And yeah, that is basically all the cool tools we've added for walls. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, that's it.